Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you're all doing well. I'm back today with another storybook series book, and I'm excited to read this one. I've actually never read this story that I'm reading today. So I'm excited to find out what happens and what it's about and who the characters are. So that is actually what we're going to do for our activity today. After our reading, we're going to talk about the characters and the setting and the theme of the story. Do you know what the theme means? The theme of a story is really what the story is about. Hello, Miss Erin. Hi, Sethi. So we're going to talk about the characters or the people that are in the story, the setting or the places that they are in the story, and then we're going to talk about the theme. So the purpose of the story. So we'll wait just a minute and see if we get any more friends come on. But until then, I'll go ahead and introduce our book. Here's our book. It is called A Chair for My Mother. Have you ever read this book before? From the title, what can you think about that this book might be talking about? Or what do you think happens in this story? A chair for my mother. Well, it has something to do with the chair. And since there's a picture of this little girl, I'm going to guess that she's talking about a chair for her mom. I wonder. Yeah, mother. So it might be about some moms, maybe her mom. I wonder if that's her mom. Right there, staring back at her. We will see. So that's the title of our story, A Chair for My Mother. And then up here it says Vera B. Williams. Who do you think that is? Do you think that's the little girl? Oh, that might be the author or the person who wrote this book. So Vera B. Williams is our author. And then look at this tiny little spine. Usually it's a little bit bigger, but this one's teensy. It says Williams, so that's our author, A Chair for My Mother, and Mulberry, which that's probably our publisher. And then the back of the book says the title again, A Chair for My Mother. And it says, after a fire destroys their home and possessions, Rosa, her mother, and grandmother save and save until they can afford to buy one big, comfortable chair that all three of them can enjoy. So this is giving us a description of what the book is about. So this must be the big, comfy chair that they're saving their money for. Why do you think they need a new chair? Did you read it? Did you hear what it said? It says, a fire destroyed their home and possessions. Oh no. Here's our title again, A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. Oh, look. Do you know what that picture is? It's a jar of some change. So some money. And it's very empty right now. So maybe that's the jar that they're using to save money to buy a new chair. Do we remember what this part is? I'll read it and then you can see if you remember. To the memory of my mother, Rebecca Porringer Baker. Do you remember what this part of the book is called? It's called the dedication. So it's where the author can come in and say who they dedicate this book to or who they wrote this book for. Blue Tile Diner. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school sometimes I go to meet her there. Then her boss Josephine gives me a job too. I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time I peeled all the onions for the onion soup. When I was finished, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time I put half of my money into the jar. Wow. So there's the Blue Tile Diner that her mother works in. And look, that's the same picture as the title or the front of the book. So she says she goes in and she helps her mom work too. And the boss pays her money too. But what does she do with half of her money? Does she go and spend it all on toys and bubblegum? No, she saves half of it. So she said, and every time I put half of my money into the jar. I wonder if it's this jar she's talking about. We will see. Oh, there's the jar again. Let's see how many pieces of change are in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 coins in that jar. She's going to need a lot more to fill it up. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all of her change from tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push all of the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired she falls asleep while I count the money out into piles. Some days she has lots of tips. Some days she has only a little. Then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. Do you see? There's a picture of her purse and her coin bag. And then here's the very empty jar. I hope they get to fill it up. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts by the savings and they go in the jar. So there they are. Oh, look at the mom. She's so tired. Why do you think she's tired? I think she's tired from working all day long at the diner. She probably works long hours and comes home. When it's dark, you see outside, it looks like it's dark time outside. And she is tired. And then there's Rosa and Grandma, and they're counting the coins. Oh, look, you know how else we can tell that it's dark? There's a clock up here. Do you know what time that says? It says it is 5 o'clock. So it's probably 5 p.m. in the late evening. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take out all the money and go and buy a chair. Yes, a chair, a wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the world. That is because our old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All our chairs burned. So did our sofa, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. Oh no, so what happened? All of their other chairs in their house burned up because they had a fire. So they're gonna take all of their money she said whenever the jar gets really full and they can't even put another coin in there, they're gonna take it and buy a big, beautiful, soft velvet armchair with roses all over it, just like that one. Did you hear all those descriptive words I just used? Big, beautiful, soft, velvet, with roses all over it. So I used my senses of sight to tell you what it looks like and touch to tell you what it's going to feel like. My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals. She had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she liked red tulips, and I was saying I liked yellow ones. Then we came to our block. So they just went shoe shopping, and they came back, and what do you think they see? So in this paragraph, she's talking about something from the past. Remember what she was just discussing? Why they wanted to buy a new chair? I think she's talking about the day that her house caught on fire. Let's see if we're right. Look. Oh no. Look, there's Rosa and Mommy. Oh no. Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled, "Where's Grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, she's here, she's okay, don't worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her. But everything else in our whole house was spoiled. What does she mean by spoiled? There are a couple ways that we can use that word. But in this context, what do you think she means? Everything in their house was spoiled. Yeah, everything in their house was ruined or destroyed because of the fire. That's sad, isn't it? Oh man. Nope, not like spoiled milk, like destroyed. But that is another good use of the word spoiled. Oh no, look at their house. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny, but the rooms were very empty. Can you compare and contrast for me how she just described their new apartment to this old one? She said, they painted the walls yellow. Wow, and the floors were shiny, but the rooms were empty. So they are the same or similar because they are both apartment rooms, right? Yeah, but they are different because this one is all gray and dark and burned, and the new one is bright yellow with shiny floors. And another difference is she said their new one is completely empty with no furniture. But this one, even though it's burned, it still has furniture. It's not empty, right? Oh wow, look at this colorful page. The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream. Yum. And they brought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us a beautiful rug. My mother's other sister, Sally, had made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss, Josephine, brought pots and pans, silverware and dishes. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. You are all the kindest people, she said, and we thank you very, very much. It's lucky we're young and can start all over. How nice! So because of the fire, they lost everything in their house. Only themselves and their cat got out. But she said everything else was spoiled, and all of her neighbors lined up to bring her stuff to fill their new apartment. Look, here's the line of neighbors. Look, there's so much stuff. They're bringing tables and chairs and a rug. And look, these are headboards for a bed. Wow, so nice. Oh, look. What happened to the jar? Yeah, it's all full. Do you think they could fit another coin in there? I don't think so. Let's see what they do. That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet, she says. What does that mean? There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet. So that's a saying that people use, and that means she wants to just come home, kick off her shoes, and put her legs up. So she wants to rest. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut up potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can on a hard kitchen chair. Ooh, that's not very comfortable. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins started to go into the jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. So before she could reach up, grab the jar, and pull it down. And now it's too heavy. Do you think they're going to buy the chair? After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full, Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for the nickels and dimes and quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them all up. On my mother's day off, we all took the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop for our chair. Oh, they're going to go shopping for the chair. Here they are at the bank. They're turning the money in. So they took that big jar of money and they wrapped them up into little wrappers to separate them. And then they're going to get cash for it so that they can go buy their chair. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs and smaller ones, high chairs and low chairs, soft chairs and harder ones. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks and the 3 bears trying out all the chairs. That rhymed. Did you hear those rhyming words? She felt like Goldilocks and the 3 bears trying out all the chairs. They both have air at the end. Look at them. They're trying out all the big, soft chairs. Finally, we found the chair that we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. How helpful is that? So here's the furniture store with all the chairs. I wonder which one they picked. Either the pink one or the purple one, or one's over here with the splotches on it. Oh, look. That one looks familiar. Kind of looks like it has roses on it. Oh, it is. I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit back there while we drove, but they let me sit in it while they carried it up to the door. Oh, how funny. Look at their new big fluffy chair. She said it was made of velvet, so it was super soft. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her and she can reach right up and turn off the light and fall asleep in her lap. Oh, so there's Rosa and Mama enjoying their new comfy chair. And it looks like Rosa fell asleep in her lap. And she said she can reach up and just pull the string and turn off the light. And here's our last page. There's the picture. There's Rosa and Mama and Grandma all sitting in their comfy chair together. And then I think that's Rosa and Mama making silly faces. How cute was that story? I loved it. I loved it because they had to work to get enough money to buy their new chair, right? Yeah. Okay. So really quickly, we're going to talk about the characters. So the characters are the people in the story. And we're going to talk about the setting. So that's the places or locations in the story. And then we're going to talk about the main theme or the overall purpose of the story. Okay. So who are some of the characters in that story? Do you remember? Let's try to think back to what we just read. Who are the people that we learned about in the story? Remember, there were 3 women. One was young, one was middle-aged, and one was older. Yeah. So we have, let me get a different color. We have Rosa. So she was the main character of the story. So we'll put a star next to her name because it was coming from her perspective. She was talking in the story. And then we have Mama. And who else? Rosa, Mama. Yeah. And Grandma. There were some other characters in the story. Remember they had a pet? Yeah, the cat. That can be a character in the story too. And then we heard them talk about their aunt and uncle. And how about all their neighbors? Remember all the neighbors came and they gave them what? Yes, they gave them all kinds of new furniture and bears and rugs to put in their new apartment after the fire. So what were the places in this story for our settings? Where did they go or where were they at whenever they were talking about the story? Yes, the apartment. Good job. And what else? Did they go anywhere? Remember the day of the fire? They were just coming back from where? Yeah, shoe shopping. So they were probably at the store. And then what was one of the last places that they were at? They were at the furniture store getting their new chair. Ooh, and remember the very beginning of the story? It was on the front page, a picture of it, and it was where Mama works. And remember, Rosa went and she helped them work, and the boss gave her some money too? Yes, the diner. So those are all settings in our story. And the last one that we're going to talk about is the main theme. What was the purpose of the story? What did we learn? What do you think? I'll think of one and you think of one too. I'll write mine down while you're thinking. Okay, do you have yours? All right. My idea was that you work hard for what you want because they wanted a big, comfy chair that they could all sit in because they didn't have one in their apartment. So they worked hard and they saved their money and they got enough money to buy one. So, what do you think? All right, my other one was help and love others, regardless, but especially in their times of need, like their family was. Remember, all of their neighbors came and donated and gave them all kinds of things to put in their new apartment. So here is our board of what we just came up with. So our characters were Rosa, Mama, Grandma, Cat, Aunt, Uncle, and neighbors. And then our setting, or the places in our story, was their apartment, the shoe store, the furniture store, and the diner. And the main theme or purpose of the story was work hard for what you want and help and love others. Wow, we came up with a lot of things, didn't we? Good working today, guys. Thank you for coming and reading this story with me and talking about our characters and setting and theme. I hope you enjoyed our story, A Chair for My Mother. And we will be back today at 10:30 and 12:30 for 2 more stories. So I hope to see you all then. Thank you for joining me. Bye, guys. See you soon.